Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Micromarket Category Insights, hosted by 7-Eleven. I'm Emily Reffermat, editor of Automatic Merchandiser magazine and VendingMarketWatch.com. I'll be serving as today's moderator. Micromarkets. They are one of the fastest growing areas of the convenience services industry, but still relatively new. How to best operate them, where to place them, and what products to offer are all still evolving. Here to assist operators in optimizing their markets based on real-world retail experience is Hirsch Barma, Alternative Retail Format Manager of Merchandising and Project Management for 7-Eleven. Hirsch started with 7-Eleven as a field consultant in Southern California, moving on to merchandiser, where he was instrumental in the development of several brands that are top sellers today. Hirsch was most recently a market manager for the North Pacific market and managed a P&L of over $200 million. He received a degree from Cal State San Bernardino in 2006 and a master's from the University of Southern California in 2008. Hirsch will be taking questions throughout the presentation, so please use the space on the screen to type them, and we will ask them live. There will also be a Q&A at the conclusion of the webinar. And with that, I'll hand it over to Hirsch Barma.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone, to the webinar. I'm really looking forward to sharing with all of you 7-Eleven's guiding principles for merchandising and finding ways where we can maximize and grow your sales and profits. We'd like to start every meeting on our presentation by acknowledging the 7-Eleven leadership principles. These 7 principles drive us, and we live up to them through the 11 competencies that make them up. Being customer obsessed is at the top of our list, and that's for good reason. The customers make us or break us. You guys know this. The way our bills, that they pay our bills, and they're who we ultimately work for every single day. Without them, we're literally not here, and without customer obsession, 7-Eleven would have never existed in the first place. So with that, let's take a look at our agenda. Today we're going to talk about the alternative retail merchandising philosophy and what we believe will help you reach and satisfy more customers than ever before. We'll start with our core merchandising philosophy. I'll tell you a little more about retail initiative. Then we'll talk about the retail landscape in detail and how the customer is changing. We'll dive into 4 key strategies that can help your markets make more money at the end of the day, and you can see what those are here. Here's our merchandising philosophy, and at the top, no surprise, our goal is to be customer obsessed and insights driven. We want to hear what the customer has to say, and we want to give them what they want. That's really the core of our philosophy. We believe in an assortment that's tailored to the customer while maintaining core items and top sellers. And we believe by using item-by-item management, this will help us grow our sales profitably. What you'll see here is that it's a continuous improvement process, and our team is constantly tweaking and changing the strategy as long as it makes sense for our franchisees and it makes our markets more money. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't start in giving a little bit of history on 7-Eleven. Way back in 1927, when a gallon of milk was 56 cents and ice was sold in blocks rather than bags, an enterprising Southland company employee by the name of Uncle Johnny Green began to offer milk, bread, and eggs from his ice house. Many of the customers found it difficult to fit in trips to the grocery store, and stores weren't really open on Sundays, and they were closed on early evenings. The customers mentioned to Johnny and suggested he take some stock of these staple items so they can make one single stop. It didn't take long for word to spread, and it turned out to be a smashing success. Customers love convenience so much that Southland started this in 20 other iStock locations around Dallas. Thus, convenience was born. Uncle Johnny's willingness to listen to the customers, his ability to challenge the status quo and try something that hadn't been done at the time, gave birth to the convenience industry. His actions laid foundation for retailer initiative, and 90 years later, it truly is our biggest competitive advantage. While simply listening to customer feedback and reacting is a great example of retailer initiative, there are other ways to satisfy the constantly changing needs of the convenient guest, market by market, store by store, item by item, and day by day. Now, every market has a unique profile, and maximizing those opportunities can be one of your biggest strengths. It's about knowing those markets, the clients that you serve, and merchandising those markets accordingly. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, and I recommend that for all markets. Innovation is critical. There is such a thing as menu fatigue. Let's face it, people get tired of eating the same old same, especially in a micro market where your customers may see the market more often than they see the inside of their own refrigerators. Most importantly, in a micro market, expanding enough on top sellers to make your in-stock 24 hours is critical. Did you know that the top 10% of items carry 86% of the micro market revenue at 7-Eleven? You simply cannot be out of stock on these items for an hour, let alone a day. So now let's talk about the changing customer. We're going to dive deep into each of these categories a little bit more in detail so we can have a true lens of how the customer is changing and how 7-Eleven is reacting to this. So what are the customers telling us? One thing we know for certain is that our customers are changing more rapidly than ever before, and there are 6 key shifts that we see in our American consumer, and these long-term trends have a titanic shift in the retail landscape. Let's talk about these 6 shifts in more detail. So we all know that the customers are time-starved and they're constantly connected to their smartphones. You guys have all heard this. But what does it really mean? Truth is, brands that were once cornerstones of the retail landscape have been extinct, and it's because of their failure to change. You guys know the story of Sears, Toys R Us, and Circuit City. Those that have adapted, like Walmart, Domino's, Starbucks, Panera, they're all thriving, but it's only after reacting quickly and expanding their capabilities. Let's talk about demanding and discerning. As competition increases and our lines continue to blur, consumers are also becoming more demanding and discerning. Online trips continue to rise while brick-and-mortar trips are actually declining. You can see that on the screen. In 2018, online retail accounted for 12.5% of total retail sales in the United States, and over 41% of the total growth came from e-com and online sources. The reality is, customers have dozens, if not hundreds, of ways to ever avoid stepping into a retail store. And frankly, that's where I believe micromarkets have a distinct advantage. Micromarkets give us a unique opportunity to reach the customers before they ever turn to delivery. The question is, will you have what they want when they want it? And if so, how do you make that experience a great one? We're going to dive into on-the-go and time-starved next. We're all very busy. We're spending a lot more time at the office, a lot more time on the roads, and let's face it, less time with our family and at home. And because of this, snacking is on the rise. 12% of folks never have time to eat breakfast, and half skip at least once a week. 20% of our meals are now eaten in the car. We know that out-of-the-home snacking peaks in the afternoon when they're looking for a quick pick-me-up. Snackers, they want familiar taste. They're looking for core items, but they do appreciate new, different, and better. 60% of our customers with a kiosk or micro-market or vending bank choose their snacking option, but they rarely use it. So what does that actually mean? It simply means it's less important for the shopper to be present in store more than ever. And whenever a shopper needs it, regarding the micro market, providing a unique advantage is critical. You can see here Our opportunity to surprise and delight is truly there. We just have to go out and get it. Let's talk about how folks are more time stars and eating differently. Digital ordering now represents over 50% of all food delivery, and it's becoming second nature to customers. We all do this. We grab our phones when we want something to buy. Planned meals are on the decline, and we've all heard about the millennial and Gen Z. 52% of Gen Z orders food. Food comes online. Most frequently come from restaurants. Digital food order rates continue to grow with a compounded annual growth rate of 26%. Thanks to innovative companies like DoorDash, Favor, Postmates, we've all created a solve for the customer need. Customers can nearly get anything delivered, which means nearly everyone is a competitor. With all that said, 27% would pay more for a faster delivery, and let's face it, this could be great news for us. With a captive audience and potential to provide a significant gratification fix, we have a great opportunity right in front of us. Customers demand value, and a well-thought-out assortment, innovation, and quality, and a fast, convenient experience is what we can provide. We're becoming more drawn out to mobile checkout, frictionless payment, and some of this is becoming second nature to our customers. Healthy is critical. Customers are more demanding, and they're looking for healthier options. 21% of our convenient customers are saying there are no healthy choices, yet we know that's just not the case. 67% are prioritizing healthy and socially conscious food purchases this year. And you're seeing more organic, fair trade certified, non-GMO sources that are becoming more prevalent opposed to genetically modified products. Lastly, let's talk about diversity and urbanization. 35% of our customers are more interested in trying new flavors. That's more than where they were in 2016. 68% of millennials and Gen Zs have gone out of their way to try novel global food compared to 50% of Gen X and 44% of baby boomers. As the workforce continues to shift, this shift opens up avenues for new cuisines and flavors. The combination of diversity and rapid urbanization across America is resulting in micro-market demand, and that's where you're seeing the shift in our industry. It's easy to find completely different customer bases in neighboring offices and buildings or within an individual one. Because of this fact, we've created 4 distinct customer segments at 7-Eleven. Each is intended to satisfy the customer and drive sales into your market. So here's how we view segmentation at 7-Eleven. The first one is called mainstream. It's heavily focused on national top sellers. It's meant to leverage high-demand product and make space for on-the-trend snacks and beverages. The second is called Better For You. It sounds like what it is. It's focused on healthier options, organic, low sugar, and it focused on creating space for premium offerings. Multicultural accounts for high demand and indexing for flavors. These markets benefit from full sugar, full flavor offerings, and skewed heavily towards CSD and teas. Lastly, there's Boost, and this accounts for folks and clients that are in extended hour operations. Think 24/7, not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but trade areas where folks are working 24 hours a day. Those folks lean towards protein-based, energy-based solutions for their assortment. Finally, let's talk about digital. The digital revolution is transforming retail rapidly, and there are retail disruptors on every single corner. Things like frictionless checkout and Amazon Go amplified loyalty programs, artificial intelligence, and more are changing the way that we react to the customer and the way that business is done. That all brings us back to our merchandising philosophy. Now that we truly know and have a good understanding of these consumer insights and how they're changing, we take what we know and we learn and overlay a strategy with the intent of representing category for each market. We then take a look at the situation from a strategic lens and come up with a hypothesis on the core fundamental of retailer initiative. Let's talk about what those items are in a more tactical lens and how you can take what you learn from customer insights into more tactical approach. So let's start with turning insights into action. The insights we bring to you come from decades of convenience experience, but also our strategic partners across the vending and micro market space. As we continue to grow and leverage these relationships, we continue to gain more insights into this space. And we see this as an evolving process that continues to grow and become more robust. So let's take a look at quick examples of how we can turn insights to actions from a merchandising perspective. So here's a look at how we turn insights into actions. You can see there are 4 different insights that we selected and how we turn those into actions. The alt retail team can take that insight after partnering with a number of cross-functional experts to come up with actionable strategy and a hypothesis to solve for these needs. An example could be how do we take the insights from a shopping perspective for a needs state occasion-based, and you can see how we do that from functional assortment gaps, focusing on the top sellers, and optimizing disruptive and seasonal offerings. Next, let's talk about the strike zone. But before that, let's define what that strike zone is, common phrase at 7-Eleven. And simply put, the strike zone is the area in a given set that's at eye level for the customer. The area is generally set the first thing the customer sees when approaching the set. You can see here graphically we've highlighted different areas within a cooler that will tell you how to merchandise each segment to maximize your sales. There are essentially 4 different segment types. One is called traffic builder, the second is transaction builder, third margin enhancer, and lastly excitement creator. The strike zone here is pictured in blue, traffic builder. Those represent top sellers, high velocity items, and they're branded by family. You can trade up your customers to higher margin items, highlighted in purple, by strategically placing your top sellers of core items and then your high potential items north of that. Typically, transaction builders are towards the bottom of a set. Those are used for destination purchases only. Excitement creators, those are typically your new items. You can see those highlighted in orange. We'll place those strategically throughout the set, and that is used to disrupt the planned purchase of a traffic builder. Hopefully, if your pricing strategy is correct, those excitement creators offer incremental purchases that can maximize your sales in the cooler. Next, let's talk about core items. Before that, let's define what that core item is. A core item is simply an item that our customers can count on to carry every single day, day in and day out, no matter what the segmentation is, no matter what the convenience need is, or the type of store. These are typically top sellers, functional needs, and exclusive private branded products. It's important to differentiate core from what your suppliers are telling you. Let's face it, our suppliers will tell us items that are highly important to them, but they might not necessarily be core. And typically, our core items are items that have been sold at least 1 year, so we can see year over year sales. At the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that 10% of the items represent 86% of the sales. So truly, if you're focusing on core items, you're going to get the aggregate of the pie, so to speak. You can see here how we actually how we track and measure core items. An example here is our fresh food platform. The gap here is not necessarily tracking sales, but instead distribution, or in this case, take rate. So if you're able to close the take rate or distribution of these items, you can have with certainty and confidence that your core items are represented in any given category. So focus here is on take rate on core items. We all know fresh food is critical, but let's face it, managing fresh food is hard, and waste is a real thing that cuts into our profitability. Our fresh food customers are looking for new and different, and menu fatigue is real. So it's really important that you have a continuous pipeline of new items that are funneling into the market. An example of how we do this is shown here. In about 6 months, 2018, we introduced 133 new fresh food products into our markets. Those sales were approximately 36%, and we average about 4 items a week on fresh food pipeline. That is critical. And when you think about managing the assortment, it's about understanding how to narrow waste or write-offs and to expand top sellers to prevent opportunity loss. Here, it's the management of the macro order or the overall order. On the left side of your screen, you'll see how a slower item, it has a higher waste. We're recommending delete. Below that, you can see top sellers, those sales, and then the recommended macro order. In essence, a steady pipeline of new items and some really strategic thought around your order is the best way to grow fresh food profitably. So let's talk about other tactics that we have at 7-Eleven to really drive profit. And it can be summarized in simply this. Closing the take rate gaps on top sellers is critical. If nothing else, you do that, you'll capture 86% of your sales. Managing slow and dead items is going to be critical as well. So how we manage that process, up to you, but having that inventory become nimble inside of your warehouse is a critical component to pipeline and innovation. Execution for pricing is new, and how do you execute that and communicate that to the customer is critical as well. And then frankly, all of us have company hats on, but our customers go to the markets for the product. And so how we merchandise a product and we let the product be the star is going to be critical. And executing item-by-item management, empowering your drivers to make educated decisions, and building relationships with clients and suppliers to help with engagement events is critical. It's important that we let the products do the talking for us as well. So in conclusion, there are 4 things that you can do today to turn margin and profit inside of your markets. Those are turning insights into action, focusing on core items, maximizing your strike zone, and selling fresh food profitably. You can see tactics on how to do that. We'd love to hear from you. If you are interested in learning more about 7-Eleven's micro-market strategy, please reach out to me. You can see my email is there. Would love to engage with all of you on more details around these concepts or anything related to the 7-Eleven micro-market strategy. I'd love to extend an invite to reach out to me. With that, that concludes the presentation, and I will open it up to comments or questions.
Thank you very much, Barsha. I really appreciate it. A lot of good information here. And then as we wait for some questions to come in, I guess I'm interested. I didn't know that 7-Eleven had micro markets. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Absolutely. So the micro market strategy or the alternative retail strategy at 7-Eleven is a relatively new concept. The idea, the inception of it is about 2 years old, but truly we didn't put dedicated resources against it until I would say middle of 2018. And so when we think about path to market, we're certainly interested in partnering and engaging with existing vending operators to become 7-Eleven franchisees. Another path to market that's off the ground now and it's relatively new is our office coffee program. Both of those can be unique and different, and provide value to your clients. And so we're leaning in with micro markets and office coffee to begin, and we'd love to partner with current vending operators as part of their offering.
All right, wonderful. There has been a question posted on here about getting a copy of the slides from the presentation, because I think there was a lot of great information on those slides that operators would like to look more in depth at. Is that going to be available?
Yeah, I'll be happy to send a copy of the presentation through Vending Market Watch, and then certainly if you are interested in having a copy of the slides, feel free to send me a note, an email. I can send you the copy immediately, so you can see my email there. Happy to send that to you.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, we're recording this webinar, so it will be posted on VendingMarketWatch.com as well. And anyone who had attended it or any new people that should be watching it can, of course, go back and view the recorded webinar at that point. Let's see. So you were talking about OCS, specifically that 7-Eleven has. Can you tell us about some products that are the OCS? I mean, do you sell OCS products?
We do sell OCS products. We have a full line offering of our coffee platform, our tea platform, and everything in between. So we offer a full service OCS program. So everything from our bean to our tea to our supplies and condiments, we offer that to you. You can actually place orders today. And so if you are interested in placing an order, we actually are taking orders direct. And so if you are interested, shoot me a note. I'll be happy to give you more details and provide you our OCS full catalog. You can see everything that's available to you as an operator. And it's a great way to get a high quality bean in front of your customers, particularly those in dense areas. But for areas that have brand recognition or understand the 7-Eleven brand, a great way to be an extension of your traditional stores in those dense areas. Thank you.
Let's see, there's another question here that goes back to what you were mentioning about the strike zone. How do you specifically trade customers up to buy in that strike zone?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're thinking about the strike zone, think of it from a customer lens or a customer perspective. Typically, customers look at our merchandise from left to right and from bottom to top. That's why you'll see in big box retailers some of the value or larger pack sizes are at the bottom. And so what you're trying to do strategically is create value as customers are reviewing the set. The best way to maximize your strike zone is to have the value price points typically towards the bottom, and as the customer looks up, an incremental value proposition as they view the set. A good example of this would be on slide 25, where you'll see our core items, our top sellers in the middle of the space, and then the higher margin, maybe the newer items or different pack sizes above it. And that's a way to create a purchase that was potentially planned into a new buyer.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, we have time for probably one more. This question, I think, is about fresh foods specifically. How do you introduce new items into the market?
Awesome. So our fresh food pipeline is a weekly process, and so we're leveraging our current demand and commissary networks throughout the country, and our core category management team that have national supplier relationships. And so our food offering is actually very hyper-local, and example of that would be items that are offered in the Northern California region may be different than the Dallas region or the New York region. And so our operators, our micro market operators, are able to tap into what's relevant locally on a weekly basis. And so how that works is the category team, including my team, review new items on a weekly basis, send that through a consulting approach to the franchise operators that we have, and they're able to pick and curate the assortment that they choose to offer to the micro markets. It's a pretty seamless process, and what's really cool about our micro market fresh opportunity is the same product that you're going to get at a traditional 7-Eleven store, you're able to get inside of a micro market, a 7-Eleven micro market.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Well, if people can stay on for just a bit longer, I think we might even have a few more questions that are popping in here really quickly. Going back to the strike zone, is it different in micro markets than it is in retail?
The concept is the same, but certainly is different based on space and the way that the customers use the space. But conceptually, I think the same merchandising principles apply. But how you implement can be different. Certainly, this is all predicated on the type of assortment that you have and what we're doing strategically inside of your set for your client. But certainly, the concept can apply.
Okay, wonderful. And do you see that millennials specifically are driving change in micro markets? That they're specifically higher users, or you mentioned the Generation Z too? You know, what's been their impact specifically on the micro market side?
Absolutely. We know that millennials and Gen Z are more demanding and discerning. And so when you think about micro markets, essentially it's about immediate consumption and transacting to a customer who has 30 seconds or less. And so we're certainly seeing a precedent for of purchase with millennial and Gen Z. Those are users that are digitally enabled, are used to on the go, and have not been kind of exposed to traditional meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but instead are more have a more precedent to snack and snack frequently throughout the day. So and when we think about heavy user, certainly can be dominant towards millennial and Gen Z.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Hirsch. And I want to encourage everyone. The slides are not downloadable right now, but correct me, Hirsch. If they email you at the email address on the screen, then they can get those slides immediately. Otherwise, this presentation will be uploaded to the video showcase on VendingMarketWatch.com, and that's how you can get those slides.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time, and I look forward to responding and engaging with you. The 7-Eleven team looks forward to chatting with you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you.